The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. This is Randy Jones with eThink Education. Really excited for this session, introducing Moodle Workplace for professional learning. We had a couple hundred registrations today. I see we're at about maybe 30% of the total registrations who have logged in. So let's give it another minute, let everybody continue to log in here. While we do that, our favorite sessions, the sessions we talk about here, are the ones where we have the most interactive audience. If you could go ahead to the questions pane in the GoToWebinar control panel and just tell us, hi, where are you calling in from? Are you headed to any of the upcoming conferences? I know our team will be at Learning Technologies in London, then Learning Solutions and Training Magazines Conference in Orlando. Then I know we have ATD, I think, out in Denver. So as we're waiting for everybody else to log in here, jump in that questions pane, say hi for us. We look forward to interacting with you today. Well, our first few hellos are from really all over the world. Budapest, the UK, West Coast of the US, Fort Worth, Arlo team, good to have you here. All right. So hey, let's jump in today. I want to be respectful of everybody's time, and one of the messages I want to kick us off with here today is that companies and government entities and not-for-profits have been using Moodle to reach their learning and development goals for nearly 20 years. Moodle's flexibility and its ability to integrate with other tools and the large network of service partners has made it the go-to tool for 900,000 users at FEMA and for Peace Corps and Guaranteed Rate and Linnell and sort of on and on. And now Moodle has gone ahead and launched a new and improved solution, Moodle Workplace. And this is certainly an exciting time for us as Moodle's largest partner. We have shown Moodle Workplace to prominent L&D consultants, key eThink clients and prospects, and adoption's been really swift, and the feedback has been tremendous. So we're excited to show you Moodle Workplace here today. With me today, before I jump to that, quick agenda. We're going to give you a quick overview of eThink, who we are, what we do. I recognize a lot of the names on the registration page, but I also recognize that there are some folks who might not be familiar with eThink. So we'll give you a quick overview. Then we'll get into the differences between Moodle and Moodle Workplace. As I looked through the registration list, that was clearly the number one question. Just, can you break down the differences for us? And then we'll jump into a live demo of the solution. And then at the end, we have a promotion that I think is going to be exciting for anybody who might want to adopt this solution moving forward. So stick around for that promotion. With us today, we have our CEO and co-founder, Brian Carlson, our VP of Services, Courtney Bentley, and Jeremy Schweitzer is our Director of Customer Solutions. So I know it's a busy time for the whole eThink team, so I appreciate the three of you taking some time to join me here today. Brian, before I launch into who we are here at eThink, would you like to jump in and say a few words?
Yeah, thank you so much, Randy. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Sounding good.
Sounds great. And yeah, I'll just start by saying it's been a very, very exciting announcement here, this entire Moodle Workplace project. I'll start by talking a little bit about us, but before I get into that, I just want to, first of all, thank everybody for coming. I can see there are a tremendous amount of people here. We've approached about 100 so far live. I know we had several hundred that have signed up. We usually find about a quarter of people sign up. There will be a recording. I know a couple questions came in that will be sent out to you afterwards. For those people who aren't here as well who've signed up, they'll get that as well as everyone on today's call. As Randy said, the best sessions we have are the interactive ones. I've already seen some questions coming in. As we're going through this today, I know you're going to have a lot of questions. It's a really interesting, exciting project. There's questions on functionality that you may have for Jeremy or Courtney. There's questions on Moodle itself and Moodle Workplace and sort of what it means. put all your questions in there. We will do our best to get to all those questions either directly in the chat, answering them directly through the question portion of the controls there, or we'll announce them to the group if we think there's a need for it to be sort of a question that we're seeing coming in from multiple people or something that would benefit the group today. We'll save a lot of those for the end, but we may weave in some of the answers throughout today as well. We're going to be all four of us paying close attention to those questions as they're coming in, hopefully fast and furious. Before I go into this, I'll just say that Moodle Workplace itself is a very, very exciting thing, as Randy said. Many of our current clients who are already running Moodle are running it, as Randy said, in a professional learning capacity, whether that's for nonprofits, whether that's for government entities, or whether that's for businesses, both small and large. Moodle Workplace itself is just quite simply focusing a separate part of Moodle on those types of features that are needed in this learning, things that maybe they've not had focus on in the academic version. Many of us are aware of Totara. Totara was essentially a fork of Moodle that focused on some of these corporate features and became its own project. Moodle Workplace essentially is very similar to that, except it's under the Moodle brand, it's under the Moodle umbrella, and the revenue that partners like us are contributing back to what we call Moodle HQ, Moodle headquarters, is going to both projects. So it's actually benefiting the entire ecosystem of Moodle, which is very exciting. It's also helping features that you're seeing in Workplace that are being worked on are also helping the progression of functionality in the core product that's widely used for our academic clients right now, as well as many of our professional learning clients. Just because you're a corporation or a nonprofit or I'll clarify this right up here in the beginning, or or an entity that's, saying, oh, I kind of fit under what I would call Moodle Workplace, doesn't mean that Moodle Workplace is a better fit for you. If you're already on Moodle Core, you may, and many of our clients are going to want to stay there. Other of our clients may say, we want to move over to Workplace. And that is something that as a company, we're always going to do. We're going to look at the solutions that are available from our umbrella, the LMSs that we provide, and then we're going to figure out what the best one is for your need set. This is just another offering that helps us meet client needs. And it's very exciting times for Moodle. We're so excited today. We were announced as essentially one of the partners from Moodle that can provide and is certified to provide these workplace services. Moodle Workplace is the brand that they're using for this new project. They're calling that the premium partners. And we were announced today, as you can see on this slide, as a premium partner. And one of the announcements that went out this morning was a little bit about this program, how we're the very first partner to achieve this certification, which is a process that we've gone through with Moodle HQ to prove that we can provide the quality of services that they're going to require for people that are going to be supporting this project, which is important for them to see the services groups out there like ourselves that are doing this to do exceptional work. So what we are now is a certified premium Moodle partner, and what we do is we take the code base of Moodle, we typically run it in a SaaS-based environment. In other words, we do hosting for our clients, and we do support. Whenever they have any question, no matter what it is, we're going to answer those questions for them. We do things around integrations. Most of our clients have some level of integration to multiple products, whether it's their ERP, whether it's their student information system. Jeremy and Courtney, who are on today's call, lead the charge for us in getting clients implemented, configured, integrated to other solutions they have, so you get a seamless learning ecosystem to the end user. And then we support through our services those clients over the years to come. And we're quite proud of the service quality we have. We have an exceptional retainment of our clients over a 12-year history. We have a 99% retention rate. Once clients come to us because of that service model, they tend to never leave. But these are open source projects that we support. So what we tell everyone, and I'll turn this back over to Randy in a second, but as a closing thought here, what we tell everyone is there are multiple vendors out there that can do what we do. We're incentivized for that reason to provide exceptional service quality to our clients because Moodle is a code base that is open and can be provided, support can be provided through multiple avenues. We have an incentive and a responsibility to provide exceptional support, and that sort of keeps us honest, is how we explain that to our clients in terms of being the best that we can possibly be. So with that, let me turn it back over to Randy, and we'll get through a couple other slides and jump into a product that we're here for you guys today.
Great. Hey, Brian, I appreciate your time here today. And we'll get through a couple slides here quickly. I know the audience wants to see the solution. So as Brian mentioned, we are a premium Moodle partner. Other than using the Moodle LMS, we really differentiate ourselves by being a high-touch, high-quality services provider. Quick impromptu poll in the questions. Rate the service provided by your LMS vendor. Usually we see half the responses in D's and F's. It's amazing how much different organizations really around the world don't like their LMS provider and the services that they provide. We've tried to spin that 100 degrees, excuse me, what is it, 50? Yeah, 100 degrees to make sure that we are the #1 service provider in the market. We do all of the hosting. We're an AWS advanced tier technology partner with an education competency. So we have the stamp of approval for scalability and security and hosting environments around the world. We do all the integrations. Jeremy's team does a really unique and discovery-heavy implementation process. And it's easy to talk about what a great service provider we are, but here's the data. And you'll see here's as of our last audit. In the last 5 months, we had about a 33-minute first response time. Industry-wide, we hear about 18 hours. If I submit a ticket to my LMS vendor, we usually hear a response at about 18 hours, and then we go back and forth a bit. I'll do another poll in the questions. What's your first response time? I'm curious from your LMS vendor. All right, and a lot of folks on the registration were running Moodle already, self-hosting, perhaps with another Moodle partner. So I wanted to give you some of this data. Migrating from another Moodle instance into the eThink Moodle hosting environment is really pretty straightforward. And then migrating from Moodle to Moodle Workplace is really straightforward as well. So we've had a total of 199 of our customers come to us from other Moodle installations. And I really think that's, again, due to the services model. We configure the sites to meet unique needs. We respond in a more than a timely manner. And we've gotten a reputation for really making sure that we take care of our clients really extraordinarily well. A quick overview. I know a lot of you folks here on the call know what Moodle is. It's the most widely used LMS in the world, far and away. One point I'll make here is Brian mentioned you can self-host Moodle. Kudos to you if you're doing that and doing it well. It's a really difficult process. It's a difficult thing to do. It's a unique Moodle skill, not so much an IT skill. So kudos to you. But it is best to be deployed by experts. So if you don't have a Moodle expert on staff, we really recommend that you take some time to speak with the Moodle partner network, like us here at eThink, to make sure that your Moodle environment is configured to your needs and that your learners can get in and out appropriately and get the appropriate certifications, and your admins can get the appropriate reports. Or if you're training a third party, that's smooth and seamless as well. That said, Courtney, I'm going to turn it over to you to start talking through some of the differences between Moodle, core Moodle, and Moodle Workplace.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Randy and Brian, for sort of the setup of how we got here. I think that today is a really exciting day for Jeremy and I in particular, as we've worked very closely with the Moodle HQ team to really try and hone the needs of our existing clients in order to come up with a product that we are really proud to be representing. We're going to pivot in just a moment and get into the product and do a bit of live demo. But, I think that the question that we've established that keeps coming up is, how is this different? And really, as you see on the screen, these 5 key areas are really the piece that's going to differentiate Moodle and Moodle Workplace. Improved UI UX. Those of you who've been with Moodle for a while know that this is a continuous improvement process, and I think that what you'll see from the workplace theme and course format is really a nice, elegant, clean interface that we're excited to show off. The multi-tenancy and the hierarchies, again, are really built to support lots of different types of use cases. What we mean by multi-tenancy is the ability to use a single Moodle site, but to carve out individual spaces for divisions, different aspects of your organization, really however you need to carve that up. And the best part of that is that each of those tenants can be branded independently so that those users belonging to a specific tenant have a seamless experience throughout the site. They never see the other tenants in the other look and feel. This also provides you the ability to segment out those tenants and allow people to manage their own users, which is huge for lots of our organizations. Being able to delegate that authority and not have data creep, essentially, seeing users across tenants. Hierarchies, again, being able to build in job assignments, add in organization structures and roles within the platform, and then to be able to leverage those to do things like assigning programs. Programs are one of those pieces that people have clamored for quite some time. Being able to really organize the learning for users, create a curriculum, a pathway, a learning path, whatever flavor you use in your organization, being able to really structure that and make those assignments in really nice dynamic ways. And the last one on our list is global certificates or certifications. I think I'll take this a bit further, and when we get into the demo portion, Jeremy will show you a bit around the reporting that's built in, the ability to really peel away the certificates and the awards, badges, however you want to award that learning, and to also be able to sit those records alongside the courses so that you can do things like repetition within courses, have learners go back in and take a course multiple times, but maintain records of each one of those completions. You know, I think that all of these aspects are what make this really exciting for the clients who've already begun to use Moodle Workplace and to be able to explore it. I think on the next screen, you're going to see a list of clients who have already embraced these features. And I think the biggest take home for me personally is that while the name is Moodle Workplace, you can see from this list of clients that we're not just talking about corporations who are looking to support, multiple divisions. We do have a couple of those on this list. But you also see international training organizations and nonprofits and clients who are using that tenancy to be able to deliver training to different areas of their organizations in some really interesting ways. So with that, unless Randy has something else to add there, I think what I'd like to do is turn over and show you Moodle Workplace from the user perspective.
Nope, nothing to add from me except for the questions that have been great so far. Please keep them coming.
Perfect. So let me make sure I can get screen sharing. I think, Randy, you may have to tee me up there. I'm not sure I have permissions.
Let me see here. I unshared my screen. You cannot see mine. Is that right?
That is correct.
Zoom, yeah. Right under the volume button, there's the monitor, I think, that you should. But let me see if I can pass this to you automatically.
I can manage Moodle. I can't really manage webinar tools, apparently.
Should be all yours now.
All right, perfect. All right, so hopefully that is coming through for you, and you see a
Perfect.
think login screen alongside my personal phone that's streaming for you. So hopefully no incriminating notifications coming in. I'm going to go ahead and log in as me, as a learner here in our workplace installation. Again, Jeremy's going to follow up in a minute and show you some more behind the scenes. But I think it's really important to take a look initially at what this looks like for a learner. All of those core features that are in 3.8 are going to be visible here within the platform. So anything you're using in core Moodle, things that you see here on the screen like user tours are going to go ahead and work right within the platform as well. I'm going to go ahead and end that and sort of talk you through this tour instead of walk you through that. The thing you'll notice immediately is that I've landed on the dashboard, and my dashboard looks a little different than it does in core. You'll notice this Teams perspective from the front. I'm going to come back to this in a minute, but this is really demonstrating that aspect of hierarchies and reporting. I'm going to go ahead and skip over to programs. Remember, I mentioned I logged in. I'm actually a learner in here in addition to being a manager. So what I see from the user perspective is the ability to see those programs, to see how courses are going to hook together. You'll notice that I already have completed my 2019 IT security certification. That certification is complete, and I can very clearly see an expiration date for that certification. You'll notice a couple of other things here. They've really pulled forward some nice visual ways of demonstrating completion. So whether that's completion of a full program or completion of a course or completion of independent activities is very clear for the user in a lot of nice, clean ways. You'll notice in my leadership program a couple of other things here. You can see that I've not begun here, and you also are able to see again information about how I need to complete this program, a due date, the fact that some of these courses are locked, meaning that I need to complete other items before I can move on. So really pulling forward that idea of prerequisites and establishing that true sort of learning path for your users. A couple of other things, if I move over on my dashboard to more, I am able to see my recently accessed courses. I'm able to see my course overview just like you typically would see in a core Moodle installation. So all of those beautiful features that have been worked on in the past few versions pull right through into Moodle Workplace. Aspects too of badgification, the ability to see my upcoming events, the ability to really see and use the calendar and subscribe to that through Outlook if I need to. I do want to dip into a course, mostly because there are some of you who have not seen Moodle, and there are many of you who've not seen this course format. So along with the Moodle Workplace theme, there is also this course format. Again, clean, giving you visual indication of completion, pulling those completion indicators over to the left hand, making it look much more like a checklist for my users. Again, all of those rich activities and resources are available for you to build your courses. So if you are an organization who relies heavily on SCORM, you are still able to bring over that SCORM content and utilize that seamlessly. If you're an organization who's already familiar with Moodle, you know that you are able to bring in all different types of content. PDF documents, as you see here, other activity types, being able to incorporate video and audio and images, and also be able to do things like incorporate interactive content through the use of tools like H5P. So being able to really engage your users in some really nice, clean ways and get them really engaging with that material. I'll back out of my course. I want to make sure we have time to get into what I call the GUI bits that Jeremy will show us. But just a couple of other highlights here, you know, other types of activities that have been incorporated in, things like being able to sign up for appointments. So being able to register for live or live virtual sessions from within the platform. I do want to make sure that I point out the mobile app that's sitting alongside here. The mobile app really is for the learner to be able to engage with the material. So what you're noticing here is to my dashboard, my ability to go in and view my programs, be able to jump right into those courses. I'll go into the same one so you see what that looks like in very similar ways. So being able to really engage with the content and continue moving through the learning on the mobile device. You'll also be interested to know as well potentially that push notifications work really well, maybe too well. I'm always getting notifications on my iWatch that things are coming due and that I need to recertify. So really trying to build in learning into the day-to-day lives of our employees and members of our organizations. The last thing I'll leave you with from the user experience is coming back around to that hierarchy structure and the teams. So you'll remember that when I first logged in, I landed on that Teams tab initially. So really what we're doing is for those users who have direct reports and indirect reports, being able to really see that team reporting, be able to really interact with that immediately. I can tell as a manager the moment I get here that there are some problems. I need to probably speak to my team. It appears that they have some overdue certifications. They may have some overdue programs. I'll go ahead and pick on Jeremy here since it is in the demo site. But being able to roll down, see those job assignments, see what programs and courses and certifications my employees are due for, and being able to really, get in and message them very quickly from within the platform. So really making it really easy to get in, understand what's coming due, be able to really stay on top of things within the learning space. Obviously, those of you who've met with me before know that I could continue talking and showing off these pieces, but I definitely want to give Jeremy ample time to walk us through some of the back-end pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, hopefully, and let him take away some of those administrator features.
Thanks, Courtney. And I am excited to get a chance to kind of show what you called the GUI bits. So what I'm going to be doing, hopefully in just a moment, is digging into the parts that are more on the back end. So showing you how you put together the multi-tenant functionality, put together the aspects related to a hierarchy and assigning job assignments and building those programs and certifications that Courtney was showing you the front end version for. So let me hopefully show the right screen. So hopefully what's coming through now is a version of the site that you just saw Courtney on, but I'm logged in now instead of an end user. I'm logged in as an administrator.
Yep, you're in the right spot.
Perfect. Always nice when that actually works. So I wanted to start here just to kind of show what the dashboard looks like potentially as an admin. So really reiterating this idea that it's still Moodle and it's still familiar in many ways. But there are a couple of things that are uniquely different when you start looking at a Moodle Workplace site versus a Moodle site. And so to point out just a couple of those, as an admin or any user that has the ability to manage tenants, I have that option up at the top that gives me a full drop down to be able to change my context to a different tenant as needed. I'm going to stay in this tenant. So an admin still has kind of a home tenant. And I've set myself up for today to be in the tenant that we're demoing from. So it's really useful. If you're not sure what you're seeing, this is always there to make sure that you have a quick visual. I'll show that it continues across all pages of which tenant you're really working within. This is super helpful if they're branded all similar, which some of our organizations are wanting, but you also have quite a bit of flexibility to do something very different with your branding. So I'm just going to hop and show an easy way of kind of giving a sense of how much you can start to push these things are the login pages. So the login pages can be defined per tenant. So this happens to be the tenant that we're logged in as. So we have the eThink logo, a hero image, and the colors are relatively basic, but you can customize this in different ways. So this is a different tenant, again, kept kind of an eThink branding. The colors are a little bit different, different hero image, different tenant. But if you wanted to push it a lot further, we decided not to demo in yellow and pink today, but we wanted to show that you can push it a lot further. So completely different logos, different color schemes, again, different hero image. And this carries all the way through to just give a sense about what's possible within the system. So I'll log in real quick just to give a taste of a different user experience and a different tenant. But when you land on the dashboard, you can see you can change things like the background, that logo carries and the name carries through, and the access that a user has to settings, this is a tenant admin, is a little bit different than a full admin. They don't have the ability to switch to a different tenant because they're really limited to the tenant that they are part of. So they have the ability to manage their own organizational structure, upload their own users, manage and create their own users and access their own reports, but it's tied down to a particular tenant. Going back to kind of give you a sense of how you build those things, I'm actually going to jump over to the Manage Tenants page. So you saw there's this extra section on the users called Manage Tenants. So jumping into that, I get a quick overview of all of my active tenants. You have this tab that gives you the ability to archive tenants out. Basically, that will kind of keep a record that that tenant once existed, but suspend that capability. So basically removing the ability to log into that tenant, closing down access to those courses, just kind of sunsetting that particular tenant. Within the overview, you have the ability to skip or go into that tenant. So this kind of arrow button takes you into that tenant to manage them, very similar to what the drop-down menu does here at the top. I'm just going to use this eThink tenant again and edit the options. So you're able to define a tenant name, change things like the site name, the site short name, the ID number, and then you can also use this spot to control what the login URL and how that works. So you're able to do things like set it either to the tenant ID number, but this is somewhat sequential, so you can also customize it to something that makes sense for that tenant. So doing things like changing out this word to be whatever you want it to be. So this could be a code to make them harder to guess. Lots of different options that you have from this. This is also where you can start to assign administrators. There's quite a few permission levels within Moodle, and this carries through into Moodle Workplace, where you can have one user that has control of things like the categories and the course content within a tenant, but a different user that is managing the hierarchy within the organization. So maybe they can create new positions, create new departments, assign people into those positions, but they can't make any changes to the content. That's all configurable and can be split up across multiple users. And you also have this ability to tie content to a specific tenant, but you also have this option to create shared content. So you'll notice here down at the bottom with this course category piece, You can either have a tenant not affiliated with any category. That's really useful if you're using a model where all of your courses are shared across tenants. So if you're maybe a vendor that sells content or an organization that's using this product to train your customers, you may have no tenant-specific content. So they don't need any category relevant to them. But you might have all of their content is unique per tenant, and then you would start that within kind of a category context. So as you can see, you have the ability to create a large range of tenants, as many really as you would need. So that's a brief look at what's possible with the multi-tenancy. So I'm also going to jump now into the organizational structure. As you saw when I jumped into that other tenant, our lovely pink and yellow one, that tenant admin had the ability to see and manage their own organizational structure. So the organizational structure is per tenant, allowing you to have completely different frameworks. This is just an example one that we sort of built out to give a sense of what's possible, how roles can be assigned. So you're able to say, based on someone's position, they're a global manager, able to see potentially everyone underneath them. And you can actually control that even a more granular level. So you could look at it and say, this global manager can allocate users and view user reports, but maybe the CEO never wants to receive notifications about everyone. As Courtney was saying, that message that she sent to my account popped up on my phone, popped up in my email, because I have every version of my notifications turned on. So I knew right away when she was doing work, getting ready for the demo, because I started getting messages about myself and my staff. So maybe you don't want that for all of your users, and maybe you don't even want the CEO assigning training. I could easily see that. You just want them to be able to see user reports. You're able to make those minor changes right there quickly and easily, and that's then reflected immediately in the user interface. So at a glance, I can see, oh, the CEO, they can see all the reporting, but they're not able to take actions, which maybe makes sense. You maybe don't want them managing the day-to-day of any training, but want them to be able to have access to reporting. You're also then able to define departments as independent frameworks that have different levels kind of broken out and structured, and then users, when you're creating their job assignments, generally have both a position and a department that they are part of. And what's nice about this model is it allows you to have start and end dates for these, which you can then use within business logic to automatically assign items. And then you can also have people have multiple job assignments that are active at any given moment. So if you have someone that maybe is a split appointment between two different departments or two different managers, the system's flexible enough to support that model. What's also really nice about how Moodle has done this is it's all easy to manage in the front end. So if I wanted to make any minor changes, you can see Ben happens to have two positions within this particular hierarchy with different start dates. If maybe we made a decision to just sunset one of those, I could potentially say, I'm going to have an end date on this user. It's easy to do this within the user interface, but you can also do it in bulk. You have the ability to upload a CSV file format that is formatted to do these job assignments. There's also pretty significant API coverage for this functionality. It's definitely an area, if you have something that you're looking to specifically accomplish, we'd love to talk to you, figure out if we already have the functionality to do it as you want, or work with HQ to make sure that they develop that coverage. So it gives you a sense of the organizational structure you're able to build. All of this is useful to have available because it allows that Teams interface that Courtney was showing you earlier so that you can see who reports to you. You can access reports relevant to those users, but it also allows you to start tying into how courses, programs, and certifications get assigned. So kind of like Moodle Workplace, the course is that kind of basic unit. So here's one of the courses that Courtney, I think, is the one who built. It's just a different format than the one I believe she showed the most before. Just a little more interactive, a little more visual. That then gets put most often inside of a program. So what's really cool about programs is you're able to group multiple courses together if you want to, or a program can just be a single course, and it allows you to start doing things like assigning relative due dates that are assigned dynamically based on business logic. There's just a lot of flexibility around programs. And this is also an easy way for managers to assign content to their users. So if the program allows what Moodle is calling direct allocation, which you're able to start controlling in some of the settings, users that supervise others that have that option to allocate them can put people into groups. The program level is also where you have that capability of sharing these courses across different tenants. And it's really a kind of a neat way that they've done this to keep the users still separated. When users from different tenants get allocated to the same courses, it can actually automatically create groups, put those users into separate groups. And with the separate groups functionality, which has been slightly enhanced for Moodle Workplace, they can interact in the same course, but never have visibility that users from a different tenant are taking the same course. But from the system admin and administrator perspective, you're able to look at one report and get an overview of what all of your tenants are doing. So from an efficiency standpoint, if you're deploying the same kinds of content across multiple tenants, it allows you to very quickly and easily do that. When you're also building any of these out, I'm going to go into this one, because I know if I change this, it won't break anything. You're able to define plenty of courses. You're able to reorder courses with drag and drop if you want to, which is very important if you're doing something like they must complete all of these courses in order. But as you see in this one, I have it set up as must complete at least 6. So this program would be complete as 21 courses in it. Once that user completes any 6 of the 21 courses, this program is marked as complete. Now, this may be more courses than you'd ever have in a set, but it's really just to demonstrate that this is pretty flexible for doing these types of definitions. So you have a lot of different options for how that works. You're also able to schedule things. So this allows you to do programmatically designated due dates. So you could say this particular program will have a due date assigned of, let's say, 2 months after the user's start date. End dates can revoke access. So if you want to say after its due date, maybe, again, let's 2 months later after it's been due, take away access from the program. If they're over 2 months due, we're not letting them finish it. So maybe they need to do something to get certified, or any of those things, you can pull away that access. And since I just touched into certification, I'm going to jump over there real quick to talk about the difference between a program and a certification. So a program, a group of courses that can be assigned. A certification is the same thing. In fact, you put programs into certifications. What they really get you is this idea or this sense of recertification on top of that grouping of courses. So what you're able to do with that is then define things like how long a certification is valid for, when it expires, and what happens for this recertification. So you're able to use a different program like we have in this example. So we have the 2019 version. Once they complete that, a year later, they need to do the 2020 version, or the system can automatically use the same program, reset the course so that their past completion is archived, their current progress for the completed courses is wiped out, and the user is reassigned into the exact same courses to recomplete the exact same set of courses. What's really kind of nice about that is it's fully automated. So the user gets a notification, it's time to recertify. You've been reallocated into these courses. You as the user can hop into them. They're ready and able for you to just retake them. Once you complete them, you're recertified. None of that requires manual intervention by an administrator to do that. It's all happening programmatically within the system. You might have noticed dynamic rules kind of showing up here in the background in a couple of spots. Dynamic rules are what Moodle is calling kind of the business logic model that they've built to help facilitate automation within Moodle Workplace. By default, some helpful ones are added to programs and certifications when you create them. They're not enabled when created so that you don't have to use them if you don't want to. But if you want to, you can do things like say, hey, for all the users that are overdue for this particular certification, go ahead and send them a notification. So you're able to give it a subject, give some information here. I'll just do something quickly. The joys of doing things live, really easy to misspell things. And then when you're doing a notification, you can say, notify the manager for every user that matches this condition, which includes information about this was sent to your staff member, here's the message they got. Now that I've kind of saved an action, I can enable this rule and it will send out overdue notices to all of the users that are overdue. It does notifications automatically that are available, but you can also then do custom ones. So what you might do is the first one is just the like, hey, this is overdue. And then you can do some of the custom ones to be a little more, this is what will actually happen in this case, to try and get people to complete what they needed to. So these exist within the context of relevant activities like modifying a certification, but you also have the ability to manage them at the site level. So I can jump out to the manage rules section, see all of my active rules across my entire tenant, and also create new rules relevant to different areas. So for example, this is one that's not enabled, that's set up to specifically send a notification to any user that has never logged in. So if you've never logged in, please send this message out. If we wanted to enable that, it would send out notifications to all of those users. But you can use this for allocating users into programs, adding them to certifications, enrolling them in courses. And you can also do it for things like issuing certificates. So just to briefly touch on a couple more features before we start to wrap up and address any kind of questions and do some closing comments. The certificate capabilities in Moodle, so different than certification, they've really made a big change where you can build what you see is what you get. So I can drag around to move items. You can add a whole range of activities, including information relative to dynamic rules. So in this case, this one's the dynamic rule data is actually pulling in the course name. These are at the site level rather than within the course context. So you can create just a handful of certificates and then issue them with dynamically populated data for all of your courses, your certificates, your certifications. And you can also start to do things like add a huge range of options such as certification expiration dates, so that those are really clearly marked in a visual way for users. So if you're especially generating these certificates and saying, hey, we've certified you, your certification was on this specific date, here's the name of the certification. If it has an expiration, you can also include that on the certificate right away so that it's clear when that certification would no longer be valid. You also have the ability, this is kind of cool, to add things like a custom code, which allows you to also have a link that takes a user that has the electronic version of this certificate to a page that shows them information about what this certificate's actually valid for, or just a verification link that sends them to a spot where they can verify that that code's actually valid and not expired, which is really kind of a fun way of having that certification extend out into other users. So the last thing I want to make sure I touch on with just a couple minutes to go is the reporting within the system. I just have a couple reports built that has some basic information being pulled in. Obviously, this is a demo site, so there's not a lot of depth to the data, but I wanted to show you have the ability to manage things like live synchronous events. That's using what's called the appointments module in Moodle Workplace. This is something that's core to this particular product. So this is how you would edit and create a report. So you're able to drag and drop. So if you wanted to reorder a session or a column, you're able to do that. So this one, it kind of makes more sense that start time is first. So I'll just drag start time back over. If you start to have a lot of columns, you can actually just click and reorder a little more quickly rather than just using the drag and drop. And then just to give you a sense of what the report looks like, you can hit the I. So for your users that just have access to the reports, not the ability to build them, this is what they would see. The column names, the data, and the ability to export as a wide range of options. They also have some filtering capabilities here along the side. These filters are dynamically populated based on what the report itself actually does. And the last thing that's really kind of neat about the reporting is the ability to schedule reports. So if you say wanted to schedule a report to go to the CEO, because you don't think that they'll log in very often, you could create a report, choose the one that was relevant to them. So maybe the course transcripts. So what courses people have completed when they completed them. They probably want it as maybe an Excel spreadsheet. You say they probably want it on the 1st of every month. So I'm going to schedule it for March and say do it monthly. Schedule the time. Maybe they want it to always come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I want to send it to a specific person. So I would maybe then put in, I'll just do my own real quick. I'll put in my email address. So you can manually send it to a specific user by email on a regular basis, or send it to everyone in a department or everyone in a specific position. So maybe I want to send it actually to the CEO and then also send it to mine just as validation. And then you can customize the message right here. So I'll just do quickly. And boom, I've just scheduled a report to be sent out as we need. So that's everything that I had time really to go through today. So I gave you kind of a sense of what's possible. Obviously, if you want to know more or have specific use cases that you want to dig in on, we'd be happy to schedule a more customized demo. So I think I'm going to turn it over to Randy now to kind of do the last few slides.
Sounds great, Jeremy. I appreciate it. Let me make myself presenter. So we asked for questions and you certainly sent them. We appreciate it. Lots of great questions in here. We're getting to them as quickly as possible. If we don't get to your question, we will follow up with you and I'll try to save some time to get through 2 or 3 here at the end. If you happen to be at any of these conferences, let's definitely schedule some time to grab a coffee. We'd love to meet with you. Let us know there in the questions pane. If you'll be at Learning Technologies or Training 2020 or any of these other events that we are headed to here in the next few months. And just to reiterate, the tool's amazing. The feedback on the tool is great. The service level provided by eThink above and beyond the tool is really where the market appreciates us as a company. So we've been able to retain 99% of our clients over 12 years of business. And that's really kudos to Jeremy and Courtney and the services team for doing such a tremendous job. You know, I promised a promotion at the beginning. So anyone who wants to take advantage of eThink's Moodle Workplace hosting and support, we'll give it to you absolutely for free through July 1st for any new agreements that are signed before May 1st. So if you decide you'd like to work with us and you sign the contract to do so, we'll provide free support and hosting through July 1st. So feel free to email me. I'll have some contact information here on the last slide, or just put it in the questions. We'll definitely be sure to reach out as soon as possible. And here is that contact information. If you happen to be in the Baltimore area or in Toronto or in London, where we also have offices, please let us know. We'd be happy to connect with you. All right, Q&A. I know our team has been looking at a bunch of questions and feverishly answering them. Brian, is there one or two that you might want to kick us off with here?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate everyone's time here today. We're going to get through a couple of questions. I'll just state, just as Randy said here, to follow up, if people are hopping off right now, we're going to answer a couple of questions with the 5 minutes we have left. But if you have other questions, do not hesitate to reach out. If you'd like to see further customized demo for yourself because you think this might be a fit for what you're doing at your institution, do not hesitate to reach out to us, and we can connect you with one of our executives who can walk you through the product, a needs assessment, and we look forward to some of those conversations. A bunch of people have already said on today's questions here that they want to see that, so keep those coming in and feel free to throw it in the questions right now if you'd like us to reach out and set that up, and I think that's really important. I'll answer one general question, which I think is a great one, and it came in here, which is about the plugins. And one of the great advantages you have here is every plugin that you have out on Moodle Core should work for Moodle Workplace. There may be, in certain examples, if you're using the multi-tenancy feature, a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done to those modules, and we've seen that here or there. But for the most part, the answer is yes there, which gives you tremendous flexibility and tremendous power to utilize those 1,500, 1,600 plus modules that are out there that most of our clients are using a pretty good set of those on their standard Moodle core. So the same thing applies to Workplace, and you can innovate too. I mean, if there are things that you need to see that you'd like to have as a plugin, you still get that freedom to customize through the plugin framework, which has always been the preferred method of doing that. And Moodle itself is kind of looking at these Workplace features as plugins themselves that go into the Moodle core functionality, so it can stay lockstep and in parallel with the Moodle core project. And that was a similar question that came in earlier, so I wanted to clarify that. With that, let me turn it over to either Jeremy or Courtney, who've honed in on a number of the functionality questions that have come in that they'd like to share with the group.
So one question that came up from a couple people is something that we did not sort of touch on in much depth in our demo because we really were product focused. But as you remember from the opening, from Randy and Brian's comments, we consider ourselves integration specialists. So yes, there are definitely ways to integrate with your HRIS systems, with other systems that you may be using. Whether that's through the API, which is rather robust here and does support the tenant structures, or if we do that work in some other ways. So if you have specific questions about integrating with your platforms, whether they be AltiPro or ADP or whatever system and flavor you're using, please definitely schedule a follow-up conversation, and we'll be happy to dig into those integration options with you individually. Were there other functional questions, Jeremy? Were there a couple that you wanted to bring up as well?
Yeah, I thought I would touch on guest access briefly. There is the ability to do guest access in Moodle Workplace. If you are not using the multi-tenant features, it works exactly the way you anticipate it would based on Moodle. If you are using the multi-tenancy, there are some changes. They would not necessarily have, you would not have the ability to have different guest access per tenant. The guest access is then more shared across tenants in that particular use case. That has been fine for some of our clients that we've been working with so far, because what it has often been has been about giving access to the shared content that a particular vendor is pushing out, which is kind of the use case we've most commonly seen come up so far. So it actually worked exactly the way those clients have wanted so far.
Great, great. I think with that, we're probably right at the top of the hour. So I think we just want to say thank you to everybody for coming here today. There's a number of other questions coming in. And I think at this stage, if you guys have further questions, we'll try to answer a couple of those here through the chat. And don't hesitate to reach out to us if you'd like to get more information about the product. We'll have future webinars coming up, so stay tuned for those. And we appreciate everyone's time today.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you joining us.